Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Prize, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is my report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Del Borovic as Morgan Rolls, and Josh Halbot as Gideon Vega. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band defeated raiders and now face a demon. Morgan and Gideon mastered bike riding and the plasma gun. Attikus punched a raider's bike into oblivion, and Valentyne regained his power sword and is facing down a demon. Can these heroes survive this hell world, or will they be corrupted beyond recognition? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
Overheard at the Cloud Palace. I don't know who Lizzo fucking Lizardman is, but if she keeps airing all my dirty laundry, I'm just gonna start killing. So someone find out who this motherfucker is, or I don't know, tell a couple of nobles to cause a scandal or some shit. Just get her out of the palace, whoever she is, or so help me, I will drive this fucking palace into the ground. Valentyne, you've just drawn forth your power sword from within the guts of Lizzo Lizardman, who you only know as a random servitor. You are turning to face a beaked creature that seems to be coming through the into the, well, I mean, you're not in the Materium plane, but you know what I mean.
Tearing their way into my current reality.
Yeah. Or so you think, as the thing starts to kind of tear its way in. You see Attikus throw a hand up to his throat as his voice box begins to spark and twitch. You can see his hand kind of undulating as well. This is probably Morgan, because Valentyne, you're busy. But Morgan, as you're driving, and you see him attempt to say something, and it's clear that the box is malfunctioning in the presence of this sort of psyker storm. For those of you listening at home, viewers will quite obviously see this is true, but for those of you listening at home, Tyler isn't able to make it out to our next few sessions, so Attikus is going to be operating as under my control with his malfunctioning voice box. So he points at it, Morgan, as you zip by, and just shrugs a little bit while clenching his fist and running up to assist Valentyne. But Valentyne, you're the man of the moment. What do you do?
Alrighty. I want to be fully transparent and follow the rules. Technically, I used everything I could possibly use in a turn to get to this sword. But if this demon's taken a while, I'm not going to disagree with it hauling its way out of this realm.
Well, that's the unfortunate thing, because it's not actually hauling its way out of the realm. So, no, that's okay. Good. We can just...
Great. Valentyne, I will say, flourishes. The sword just kind of swirls around him for a brief moment before the disruption field snaps into place. Being showy is not Valentyne's style, which is why this isn't actually showy. He's just limbering up his sword arm because he hasn't wielded one in a while. He interposes the weapon between him and the demon, and he says nothing because he doesn't want to give a single goddamn thing away. This one, if we're seeing birds and beaks, as he is a member of the Hereticus hunting down cults and other things, he would assume that this is an emissary of Tzeentch, the changer of ways, the master of the paths of fate, which means you don't give this motherfucker any information whatsoever. You just engage and destroy.
Yeah, I was visually imagining this with kind of almost the, not the exhaustion, but just the not even precision, just Jon Snow ripping out his blade in the Battle of the Bastards, just being like, there's no artistry to this. It's sword time. It's sword o'clock now. That's where we're at.
Yep. So it's the yank it up. You got a brief moment. Okay, we got to limber up the wrist because it's been 2 days in a cave.
Yep.
Now it's time to fight.
Yep. Great. Love it. Okay. So that was Valentyne. Next up, I believe we have Morgan.
Okay. So Morgan will have pulled around to where Valentyne was, and then Valentyne sped off and went towards the top of the what pile, I guess it is.
Yeah, there's just a pile of debris.
Yeah. So like in Morgan's turn, I guess she's gonna stop the bike, get off of it, pull out her sniper rifle, and then be lining up looking at what Valentyne is up to, because I feel like until this moment she hasn't even noticed that shadowy figure, whatever it was. And I think Morgan is going to line up and hold her shot waiting to see what Valentyne does, because I think it would scare her if she's seeing a weird shadowy shape thing happening.
You're also seeing the woman from before. Now the glow is off a little bit because you've been on planet for a bit, and she looks a lot like Rawls.
Oh, okay, so then that is,
but in the like as I described to Josh, like it's still in the robe, still in the sort of like mossy green robe, but just her facial features look similar to Rawls.
Yep, and she overheard that she looked like Gideon's dead mom, so it's like, okay, this lady looks like dead people, and I think instead of she'll just take a shot at this figure again. Right. I don't know if it'll actually disrupt it or do anything, but I think it's like it freaks her out enough. And she remembered seeing the lady over Valentyne's shoulder and that it was bad. Yep. So she'll just take a shot at her.
Yep. So you snap off a shot. The bullet tears through the image of this woman who just kind of turns to you with a bit of confusion and then points at the shadowy shape and says, "You missed," before disappearing. Mm-hmm. Also, I fucked up our turn order, so that was just a freebie. That's a free Morgan turn.
Free extras.
So, next up, we have the thing that is appearing. So as it comes out of as it sort of takes form, it is going to unleash a warp howl on you, Valentyne, as you're directly in front of it. So that is going to be I get one of those guys. I'm going to give him a setback because you are well aware of its presence. Mm-hmm. So this isn't like it appears in your ear and just screeches this at you.
Is this a ranged attack? Like, what is it relative to?
It is, it's telekinetic. So it's using telekinesis, and it is at short range. So it's like it screams in your face. This isn't like a ranged.
Oh yeah, no. I was just trying to understand like if like discipline effects. I wanted to understand how it was factoring in. So
yeah,
cool.
No, just screaming directly into your face with these psychic powers of the warp. Okay. I think that's honestly it. But you know what? Why not? I never get to spend story points on attack rolls, so I'm going to spend a story point to...
Would range defense factor in if it's trying to batter at
me? No, because it's telekinetic. So this is... It's not a... This is like...
It's not hurling things at me.
Yeah, this is like a wave of warp energy hits you and like your eardrums burst. So like your actual... Like the armor defense... refractor field and stuff don't. I can't make a pitch for how
oh no, I just wanted to make sure I understood the attack as it was occurring. So that makes perfect sense.
Just a wave of psychic energy. Ryan, did you want to spend any story points?
Sure, why not?
Okay, yeah, I'm sitting at 3 yellow, 2 purple, 1 black. So we'll upgrade 1 purple to a red.
What's the running story point count?
3 for us,
and 2
for Tom.
again.
Yep. Okay, and we're spending them.
That's where we're at. At the end of that.
Yeah, I spent 1.
Yep,
he spent 1, so it's net neutral. Okay, let's roll as it unleashes its warp howl. 1 advantage. That is. Yeah, that's
flexing.
Spooky. So it unleashes this warp howl as it begins to become more solid. Expecting, of course, that your mortal ears will burst. But the problem with Valentyne is he doesn't have mortal ears.
Yeah.
So, you get some of that kind of like static, I always think of it as like Terminator or RoboCop or Predator vision, because like the 80s always assumed that we'd have shitty video, but like you get a bit of that interference on your digital eyes, but it's nothing you haven't handled before. And you're an Inquisitor. You stand strong against this thing as it screams and begins to take a more corporeal form. Valentyne, you're I guess pleased to see that this thing isn't a full-fledged demon tearing its way in. You can roll Forbidden Lore if you want to see if you know what this thing is.
Especially like the lesser forms he would know more about, simply because he's not Ordo Malleus. He's not a demon guy.
Yep.
He's Hereticus. He's like, what is an idiot set free in a building by accident trying to do a ritual?
What's the Faustus problem, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to say difficulty of 1 because that's a good pitch. I will give you a boost because you can see it.
That makes sense.
And you've
Got
seen
visual.
one of its attacks. Yeah.
You can take in the details.
That said, I had an advantage, so I will
Throw a threat on there?
throw a threat on that. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that's it.
Yeah, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Wash.
Okay.
I see what I see.
It is
I know what it
is.
looks like.
So this is you're unfamiliar with this, but again, it's comfortably within your wheelhouse of bullshit that, to your point, idiots would summon. So yeah, you're not able to label it or know its stats or anything, but you.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. Yes.
Yeah. Unless it says Martha, then you have to stop. It's the law.
Not Valentine. He doesn't have parents.
Fair. Martha, that means nothing. Stab. Okay, great. So that was its turn. What a great turn. Womp, womp,
Yay!
Listen, not good for
Team
it. Great for us.
Inquisition.
Yeah, that said, I am going to need some fear checks from
Yo.
Morgan and Gideon. And Valentyne, I'm going to have you do yours as well.
Okay.
I'll just give you a bunch of advantage because you're cool like that. So this is an average check, so it's 2 purple. I'm going to say Valentyne will make it 1 purple for you,
Okay.
I think, because again, you've studied. It's like, because the nature of the horror of these things goes beyond simple, I saw a scary thing and is vaguely warpy, there's always that chance that like your brain just breaks looking at
Of
something
course.
eldritch.
Yeah, you can get scared of anything, but
Yeah, but you've had exposure to this kind of stuff enough that you would be more prepared for it. I will give Gideon and Morgan a boost for the fact that Valentyne is facing it down. I think even though he's being very workmanly about it, it's still seeing an Inquisitor with a power sword standing against a demon is like, yeah, okay, that's how this is supposed to go.
Right.
We have the best odds, in our favor. I'm going to give everyone a setback for being on this planet. Being in the warp makes all of the warp powers a little more susceptible. Valentyne, you can shake it off.
I will shake it off with my tempered will. Yeah.
Is it a black one?
Yes.
Okay, it'll be a challenge die.
Yeah, challenge. And I think that's
Setback die.
I think that's it. Oh, and I got to roll for Attikus as well.
Yes.
Our boy Attikus.
And what stats are we rolling with
I was going to
this?
say I haven't made a fear check before. So I don't know.
So this will be against
I think it's discipline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And setback for the planet, boost for Valentyne. Okay, let's roll and see what happens.
Ooh.
It's 2 threat for Morgan.
2 threat from Morgan.
3 successes, 1 advantage for Valentyne.
Okay, great.
3 successes, 2 advantage for Gideon.
Oh my goodness.
This is just a regular day for him.
Yeah. So
Just chilling.
I got 5 successes for Attikus.
Oh, wow.
Who
Shit.
just sees it start to form, shakes his hand, kind of like Jackie Chan having punched someone, like just shaking off the kind of electric stuff. Shrugs, just makes a fist, and like begins running, just with fist cocked back, running up to help Valentyne, which we'll get to on his turn.
And I guess Morgan, she took that shot at the ghost. And then as that demon keeps forming, without even being able to stop herself, Morgan moves back behind the bike and sinks down, sitting behind it. And the sniper rifle goes down. And she's like struggling, trying to reload the gun, but it's just like, I'm hiding. I'm hiding behind this bike.
Fair. Smart play. I respect it. So top of the round is Gideon.
Ooh.
So you see Valentyne facing down against this creature that's starting to form. This is outside of the realm of anything you would have experienced on Greybridge. They keep all the demonology stuff pretty hush-hush in the Imperium of Man for obvious reasons, but Greybridge was notably once purged before the society was built for demon stuff. So you mostly know about it from like rumors and hearsay, and not heresy, but hearsay. But largely about the Voidbringer family and a lot of like these fucking guys. So it's a little bit like seeing a fairy tale come to life, but basically everything on this planet's fucked. So it's not, it's surprising, but not impossible. All of the all the raiders have fled, so you don't have to deal with them anymore. Valentyne is facing down this creature atop the hill. Also, the king has been shot and is like on the ground screaming. So I don't know if that has any relevance to you, but that's what's going on up there.
Yeah, I think that's where Gideon is going to head. I think he's still attached to things from Greybridge in a weird way. That regardless of the weird stuff going right, he's like, this is the only thing that makes a lot of sense to me right now. So I think he's going to try and sprint. How far away is the king?
You can make it to him.
Yeah, so he'll sprint over, but on the way past, is he like within like shouting distance to?
Oh yeah, this arena quote like the wreckage is small enough that particularly now that there aren't bikes roaring around and causing echoes and things, you can definitely go. Yep.
Because I think when he gets psychic powers, when he comes through the warp, he gets something called Psyniscience, which I think is his like ability to predict and understand other psychers and weird warp phenomena.
Hell yeah!
So I think he's going to use his 2 advantage to like point something out in the whatever this warp thing that maybe he wouldn't know anything about, but he can slide Ryan a boost for his next.
Hell yeah.
It has a big throbbing, lit up heart with arrows pointing to it.
Yeah. It's a House of the Dead Capcom build.
A little bit of fire pops up, just lighting the weak points.
Inquisitor, look, it's glowing hard. Crush it. And then I think he's going to sprint over to King Frederick and see how he's doing.
Great. So he's taking a last shot to his very, very unarmored stomach. So he's in rough shape. You can use a Medicaid check if you'd like to try.
I was actually going to use one of my talents.
Oh, shit.
That's okay.
Yes,
if that's right. I have a psyker talent called Cauterize.
Oh, shit.
So I can get in there. Yeah, he can do all kinds of crazy crap. So I take some strain and I make a check, and then I can burn his little stomach wound closed.
Yeah. Go for it.
If that's okay.
Oh, please. That's very cool.
So let's try it. So it's a red check. And
Psychers, man. Psychers.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Oh man, yeah, I crush it. So I got 3 successes and 3 advantage.
Oh shit!
But he heals 1 wound and takes 1 strain, and then I think I can give him extra.
You roll to see how many successes.
What do you mean?
For your however many successes, I think is how many you heal with the
cauterize. Oh yeah. Is that it? Okay, yeah. So 3 successes. So I can jack him up for 3 wounds, but he takes 3 strain.
Okay,
because that can't be.
It's not nice.
Be great. Yeah. I'm sorry, King.
This is worse than dying.
This is not great.
He just like pulls out a small vial of space coke that he had in one of his pockets and just snorts it. And he goes, "Doesn't help.
Makes it worse."
Okay, so it took 3 strain.
3 strain. Yeah. And I've got some advantage left over here, so I'm gonna. Can you use an unlimited amount of strain with advantage? I can just like top.
I think burn 3 to gain 3.
Perfect. Yep. So I'll top myself up.
Sounds good. Healing the king again to your point earlier. Like even though everything's weird here, Greybridge is all you've ever known, and the idea of being able to save the king for any like loyal citizen of a place is a huge thing. So I think like everything's going crazy, but even amongst all that, you've been able to do like you've done some good, which is nice. You feel energized. Your strain returns. You're like, okay, I can help. Yeah. I can do things.
This
here.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
burn to the king, but in a nice way,
in a good way.
Yeah. Pleasantly burn the king.
He's not burnt up.
No,
he's just
not like your mom.
Burns in. Yeah. So as you're doing that, you just hear thumping as the Lord Van Houten, Attikus, runs by, and this is just I always imagine this is like the Scott Pilgrim punch, where it's just they'll run in and throw a haymaker, but it's with the servo arm. So Attikus is going to run past you, up beside you, Valentyne, probably getting like in front of you, such that you can do whatever maneuvers you want to do, but wants to get between you and Death, and just throws the big fist. So. Oh, now it's my turn to throw Attikus fists. This is nice.
It's going to feel different.
Yeah, very different. Okay, so it's melee. So 2 purple. This is a unreasonably a melee light. So we'll do that. So that is... oh my God, Tyler, what have you built? 3 yellow, 3 green. I think a... Well, no, because Valentyne hasn't actually engaged it yet, so I'm not going to give boost for flanking or anything like that. Also, he's just standing in front of Valentyne. So that's all fine. I think that might be it. What's this thing's defense? This thing has defense. LOL. But yeah, the defense is still there, but the soak value is what gets ignored with Valentyne or with
the fist. Yeah,
shit. Yeah,
pierces like crazy.
Okay. I get a triumph and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes.
Jesus.
And a threat.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's Attikus, baby.
Yeah. All right. So he does 17 damage normally. So that's like 23. It's got breach, which normally eats soak, but this thing's demonic. So 2 of its soak can't be negated by anything. But that doesn't matter because he fucking punches this thing out of existence. So just as it's becoming corporeal, Valentyne does the flourish with the sword, and then it's just like
waiting to be charged.
Superman
He's just
punch,
engaged.
Just over the shoulder,
interruption.
punches this thing out of existence, and kind of like lands again hand to throat as he's clearly suffering some stuff. But then he just turns to you, Valentyne, with the power fist, just cranks a thumbs up.
Valentyne will give him a nod.
So the creature obviously just dissipates, like just blasted into shreds, and is gone. And you find yourselves alone now in this sort of large wreckage with the king who is screaming. I believe we have
two royal guards
still standing, and obviously all of you and the servitor. What do? We can drop out of initiative order now.
Great. Tom, the guard who shot themselves in the head and then was shot by their fellows, is their armor holding up? Valentine's thing is like, we got to get everybody dressed in some shit. And like, this feels like a very Attikus suit of professional armor if we rip a sleeve off of it.
Yeah, 100%. He's got to wear like the cool guy version, but also he's just like bigger than these guys. So it's going to be a bit torn in terms of the fabric, but the actual armor, it works. So
so Valentine would just order Attikus to go gear up with that. Then he would summon Morgan and go talk to these 2 royal guards and get a sit rep on like, what has occurred over this time? I am Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne. This is my interrogator, Morgan Rawls. He would leave you to just do the work you're doing, Gideon, with the king. He'll get there in a minute.
We've been holed up here for hours. I think we found our way in here. The king is not doing well, although, and they kind of like look to Gideon. They say it would seem he is doing better now. Regardless, the king insisted that we find refuge somewhere. He said you would come. That there was an inquisitor on site somewhere. But in the meantime, he sought this weapon, but this servitor has refused to hand it over to him, which seems very strange. There were a number of us, and gestures to all the corpses, like there were a number of us, but we've just been facing assault after assault of raiders, small green creatures that seem to be sort of slimy and toothy, but some of our guards were saying that they were seeing friends of theirs from Greybridge, their families, and slowly losing their minds. A few of them we had to shoot ourselves because they turned on us. But whatever that, and they point at, the mist that Attikus just punched, whatever that was, it was getting in our heads. What is this place? Inquisitor, where are we?
We have been transported away from your world. I do not know this exact place, but I do know that it is unholy, unsanctified, tainted by the warp, yet you too remain strong. We can survive this. There are other survivors coming in a wave. They have armed themselves. We are their vanguard. We are moving forwards to find our way off of this world. But there is an important question that I must ask both of you in this moment. Are you loyal to your king, or are you loyal to the Emperor?
Well, there's no difference.
As an Inquisitor, I'm telling you right now, there is.
But the king speaks with the Emperor's voice, my lord.
The Inquisition. Our voice drowns out all others.
And one of the other guards the other guard pushes forward and says, forgive me, my lord. Most of us have not heard of this Inquisition. Are you police?
I am the ultimate symbol of the Emperor's authority. The Inquisition is the Emperor's right and left hand, as well as his voice. We have the power to doom worlds to death when it is necessary. We can raise armies. There is no remit beyond our control.
I know this sounds insane. I'm going to need you to roll a check because literally this is, in Star Wars terms, this is Darth Vader should theoretically just be a spooky ghost that no one has ever heard of, despite all the movies being like, there he is. And based on what you've seen of Greybridge, it kind of tracks that
I believe they wouldn't get told about it. Like,
which means that as a result, there's someone who's here who's like, no, I'm the guy. And they're like, well, no, that's the king. You're talking about the king. So let's go with, I mean, I know that there's a bullet in the head at the end of this.
Yes.
I don't know that they know that there's a bullet in the head at the end of this. So what skill would you say you're leveraging here? Because this could be leadership. It could be coercion.
We've argued deception can also be used for hard truths people don't want to hear from Valentyne. Because otherwise he has to lie all the time to have good stats to convince people. So we'd said at the beginning of season 3, we'd agreed, if he's just saying a brutally hard truth in an uncharming way, he can be pretty persuasive.
So the only reason I won't allow that this time is they think you are deceiving them. So if we're rolling with deception, because
do you want to roll deception to just see if I can convince them what they think is a lie? Because then it's a hard truth for me, and it's just like, how much can I sell them?
I mean, look, I suspect this ends up with bullets in their heads, but
they do have nice armor on.
Yeah,
I'm not against any of this. Is all I'm saying. I'm not a nice guy.
I think I'm going to leave this at leadership. They're used to a certain command structure. If this goes badly, you're welcome to shoot them. But I just have a hard time. Like,
I mean, listen, I'm fine with leadership. Like, I'm up for whatever.
If you thought you were lying, then I think deception would be cool. It's just like,
no, Valentine's just telling them exactly.
I know
that's
the
game is over. Has been declared.
Yeah. There's just several layers deep where it's like Valentyne is saying an ineffable truth, and they just don't understand the language he's speaking. Basically,
yeah, that's fine. They've never heard of this organization.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's the deal: it should be fucking long odds based on that description. So, I agree. Leadership. Done.
Okay.
What's my difficulty?
This is going to be difficulty 2. They just watched you punch what they think is a demon that killed most of their friends out of existence with one hit. So they're also like, we don't know if we believe you, but we also can't. It's really like, do I die for my cause?
Everybody else died for the king. Do I want to have my turn?
This is a real Grail Knight moment of like, I believe in the quest, but also,
yeah.
So difficulty 2. I'll give you a boost for that, for the fact that you have a bunch of very capable people with you. A boost for the fact that you just saved their lives.
I mean, I would pitch 2 setback just on like loyalty to the king. And they don't know the organization is real.
I'd buy that. I'm also going to add an additional setback for they've already established that this is a world of lies, so you could just be a different demon, a more different demon, which is vaguely concerning. That said, I will also add a boost for the fact that you have a Greybridge noble with you who just saved
the king's life.
The king. Yeah. So, and they'd recognize Lord Van Houten as well, but he's from Offworld, so fuck that guy. But Gideon, like having a... Even if they don't know Gideon personally,
just solid mid-level boy.
That's it. They're like, yes,
the man boy, the boy man,
the boy man.
Go ahead and roll.
Also, I gave you that extra boost on the demon.
Okay, that's right. Yeah,
like
that would count
mechanically if that just sort of.
Well, yeah, because you're basically giving it to his next check, and we assumed the next check would be a sword, but then a fist got involved. So,
great, Tom. I got a roll and I got a pitch for you. 3 failure and 4 advantage. I would like to spend it so at the end of Valentine's speech, there's just a sword through one head and he shot the other guy in the face.
Yeah,
just the moment he sees doubt, we're like, we haven't heard of this organization. It is very important. It is in the Emperor's name. And two dead guys fall.
And the king just goes, fuck! No! Okay. And he looks at you, Gideon, as he kind of like, as the coke kicks in enough to kind of like help him ride through this and just goes, you're getting a big mansion when we get get out of this thing. Thank you. I'm going to elevate you like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. Oh, sure.
Ooh, okay.
I believe you.
Yeah, that's great. Hey,
another mansion falls from the sky and explodes.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Oh no.
And he looks at you, looks at Attikus, and he's like, took you long enough, nephew, if that is, I don't even know. Hey, Captain Sorty, Inquisitor, what the fuck is happening?
Excellent. It's time for us to do this. He's going to look to Morgan and say, you might want to handle Gideon. I don't know how this is going to be accepted.
Understood. Then, Gideon, come with me.
And I think after seeing that, I can kind of like put two and two together. Why?
Because the Inquisitor needs to speak with the king alone.
There is armor you could both use. He'll point to the 2 royal guard because he very particularly just damaged the heads.
Yes.
So if either of you needs to take anything, suits of armor are available.
Yeah. I think she will walk over to him, and if Gideon's not moving yet, she'll grab him under the arm. And not roughly, but like gently start to move him. And could she see that there was the servitor on top of the debris at top? Yeah. I think she'll take him over there first because the dead guards, he doesn't necessarily need to look at exploded guard heads right now.
The difference between Valentine and Morgan.
Yeah.
So the catch is the servitor is amidst all of that. So,
okay. So it is.
Like the king had literally was trying to pull the sword out of the servitor. So servitor's on the top of the heap.
I see. I thought he was
in the heap.
Further away from that. All right, then yeah, maybe she'll just take Gideon back towards the bike where his servitor and Toby the bird are inside saddlebags.
Which is good because Attikus was preparing to just walk forward with the hand out and just continue to push him back and away. But he sees you and just gives you a curt nod.
Yeah, so she's just going to take him over to the side and be like, you need a moment after all of that battle. You did a good job.
The king being an asshole is like a known thing. Like I'm trying to rationalize like, he doesn't want to put his neck on the line just for some asshole guy, but also this is like one of the last vestiges of a society that he understands.
Yeah. The king is very much a character in Greybridge. He's been increasingly erratic over the years. Unfortunately, like the society, he's distantly related to a Lord of Terra. So there is a sense of like to these guards who just ate its perspective, there was always a sense of like, oh no, this guy's from like the real power, and of course he's like a bastard son who got sent far away. But there is a bit of that like right to rule situation going on Greybridge, where it's like, well, he's crazy, but he's our guy. His lineage has ruled Greybridge since it was established, but he is known to be super erratic. It is like bit of a mad king situation, and particularly having just witnessed this particular celestial season where he took all the mid-level nobles, some of whom you knew, who were involved in this uprising, and threw them out of hovercrafts. He will just, and he had a pet space marine, like his space like Force Pollard, his enforcer, was just around all the time. So like very clear threats to everyone. I think it's the kind of thing where it's like, you're the crown, but also like you might kill me for saving you because I hurt your tummy.
Sure.
So I don't know that you'd put up a huge amount of resistance to this. It is conflicting, but at the same time, like who's going to get you off this planet?
That's what I'm sort of thinking.
The Coke Fiend,
I'm
or
not
the guy
interested
with the
in making enemies right now, too.
Yes.
So I think he's going to have a little moment and then kind of like reluctantly get pulled away, and then as he's leaving, like turn around to the king and be like, "Sorry."
What do you mean sorry? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Valentine's going to kneel down to the king's level and say, "My king, do you know anything of the cabal in which Trin Rakai was involved? Do you know of Trin Rakai's conspirators, any of the others?"
He didn't talk about that sort of shit for me. I mean, he said he had a job to do with the warp gates, and obviously we helped build, once we found that fucking seed thing everyone was so hot about, he fixed the warp gates, and he said eventually he'd have to go off and do some stuff, but he seemed pretty content just living in Greybridge and enjoying the entertainments and pleasures we were able to provide for his amusement. So no, cabal? What are you fucking talking about?
I understand. Valentyne stands up and says, Attikus, hold the king in place.
And Attikus mouths with pleasure, just reaching down.
And Valentyne stands up, fixes his cap and his coat, sheaths his sword after turning off its disruption field, and draws his bolt pistol. Governor King Frederick Henry Jackson Dendrick Luther Fitzgerald, in the name of His Imperial Majesty's Holy Inquisition, I find you guilty of warp experimentation and tech heresy. I find you guilty of gubernatorial incompetence. I find you guilty of consorting with Xenos. I find you guilty of betraying the throne and humanity. I name you a heretic in extremis, and I name you guilty of murdering with malice an entire imperial world. I hereby declare you excommunicate Traitoris. Your soul is not welcome within the Emperor's heaven, nor will you receive any imperial saints' blessings, prayers. You will remain unburied. Your body will be left to rot, and you will be eaten by the dark powers of the warp, giving them no sustenance, for your heresy and base betrayals guarantee that you have no value. Go into the dark alone, knowing that you are despised. And he shoots him straight in the head.
Right. He raises a hand to like object, and the bullet rips through his finger and then blows his head off. And the body just kind of like Attikus is still holding it in place, and drops, just kind of like, splatter across his face. Uses his organic hand to just wipe the glasses individually, and then nods, mouthing, not a moment too soon.
Yep. Valentyne just gives him a nod and says, unfortunately, it had to be done by an Inquisitor. I was hoping to give someone else that pleasure, but this is the situation we're in. Let's see if he has anything worth taking.
He shrugs and just starts like
quickly shake the body out.
Turns him around, shakes him out. As I said,
just picks him up by one leg with the power fist.
Flips him around, shakes him out. No, there's nothing on this guy. Again, he was in his like lounge robe. So there's not much. A couple of vials of the purple space coke fall out, but otherwise, no, there's nothing of note. It is weirdly almost more satisfying that there is absolutely nothing of value on this man who
Valentyne
choked a planet and system to death.
Completely agrees with how this played out. It feels right, good. Also, if something had fallen out, he could have missed something, but this guy really does seem tremendously uninformed and self-interested. Just the worst kind of heretic. Heretic by laziness and ego. Stupid. So frustrating. You train in the Inquisition for decades to try to learn how to root out these incredibly well thought out conspiracies from people who are actively conspiring against the throne, and then you show up and it's like, this guy was born and wasn't very smart, so now fucking 1 billion people got dumped into the warp. It's a very frustrating job that he does.
So Attikus like cranks up, just bends up a piece of the metal and just impales the body on it, and like digs out a pen from his fucking poem writing days, and just starts like basically like writing it like a heretic.
Perfect.
What was the term used?
Excommunicate Traitoris.
Yeah, great. So he starts writing that out in his admittedly still kind of jagged script, but just like gestures to the sign and gestures to the body.
Oh, strong nod. Strong nod, absolutely.
He gives you a nod of kind of like, I was just confirming it, but obviously he's proud that he
agrees. And Valentyne honestly likes the idea because it'll take the joy out of this body being eaten by whatever demon eats it, because they'll know that it was abandoned and left them because it's worthless.
Yeah. He also wants to make sure that any other royal guards who show up get the message.
And then he would just look to Attikus and look down to see how Gideon and Morgan are holding up near the bike, because gunshots aren't silent.
Yeah, and
he shot the king in the face on top of a mountain, and they're impaling the corpse.
And Morgan would be trying to figure out how Gideon feels about this, whether she would like let him watch or she would be holding his gaze while this is going on. Like, how nervous does he appear?
I think he's starting to figure out like the tenuous nature of the relationships that he's making with anybody here, that all of this can go away. So I think he's in a sense like trying to remain like obviously like unperturbed, like just okay, like and then I think on the inside he's trying to figure out like every backup strategy that he has to be like, I am not safe on this planet, and I am not explicitly safe with these people, and I have to start thinking about how I'm going to not get shot in the head and have that speech read to me.
Yeah,
because that was a scary. Like, I'm sure he could hear that whole thing and be like, and he knows, especially with the psyker stuff now. I think he's starting to realize that he is like 1 degree away from getting that head on a spike.
Yeah, so
I think he's gonna be like, oh yeah, everything's good, man.
Yeah, okay,
you're doing great.
Okay,
this is fun. And inside he's like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I think Morgan would stand closer to him and put her hand on his shoulder again and say, the Inquisition roots out evil even amongst places where you assume everything to be good. The king was a heretic and dealing in things that put the entire planet in danger, which is why we find ourselves here. But we are happy, for we were looking for those who were loyal to the Imperium and good people. And we're glad we found you, Gideon Vega. Like little arm squeeze.
And he's looking around, like just trying to, and then I think he like makes eye contact with you, and just like the one bead of sweat is going down, and he's just like, yep. Oh yes, this is ideal. Nothing is wrong, and everything is very cool. Yeah.
As long as you are loyal, you have nothing to fear.
Valentyne and Attikus. If Valentine's seeing this conversation, he's like, okay, it's time for the like his mind. He knows he can't necessarily win over Gideon Vega, but Valentyne is very good at the math of explaining the Inquisition to people and trying to establish value. Because for him, it's like an asset should feel comfortable if an asset knows how valuable that asset is.
Yes.
So he would just look to Attikus and be like, grab that one. And he would grab the other royal guard just by the collar of their breastplate, just haul the bodies down the hill.
Attikus grabs
down at the
he's not going to let Valentyne drag a body around. He's picking up luggage.
Yeah, Valentyne will lead and come down to the other two and say, I imagine, Mr. Vega, if that is how you prefer to be addressed, Mr. Vega, I understand that you may be somewhat uncomfortable with what you've just seen occur. It was the execution of 2 royal guards who did not recognize the Inquisition's authority or the authority of the throne. They believed their king was the voice of the emperor. And you also saw me execute the governor of a world and the king of your society. What I need you to know is this is a good day. This is a good day sent to us by the emperor, just like you were sent to us in an hour of need. Why did I kill these 2? Not only for misunderstanding the core functioning of the Imperium and my authority, but also because you are more important to me than they are. You are more important to the Emperor than they are, because you have been given gifts. Normally, I'm sure you are thinking of your psyker abilities and knowing that the Inquisition hunts down unsanctioned witches and psykers. You're probably thinking that you are a short step away from death. You are not.
Get out of my head.
Gideon Vega, you are not. You are serving the Inquisition. We enforce the rules because we make the rules. I have named you a sanctioned psyker. As long as you stand by my side, as long as you continue to prove your value to me and the Emperor, you will be welcome. You will be safe. You will be powerful. Your king killed a world. Every person who's fallen out of the sky, that was him. Consulting with Xenos, consulting with demons, being an unknowing part of a conspiracy to drag the Emperor off of the Golden Throne. I have not told you about our mission, Gideon Vega. The Emperor himself is in danger. The conspiracy, the cabal we are looking to stop, that your king was an unwitting pawn within, it will drag him off of the throne. It will drag the Emperor down. They will feast upon his body. He will die. The Astronomicon will go out, and the Imperium will be doomed. We are not here because Greybridge died. We are here because the Emperor must live. Now, the question you must ask yourself, Gideon Vega, at this time is, do you want to save humanity? Can you gird yourself to save humanity? Can you trust me?
I will try my very best.
That is all I can ask. Now, if you want armor, take it off of these corpses. We ride after we've taken in the rest of this scene. I'm very much hoping there's something useful in this pile. After all, everywhere we've gone, we found you, we found the sword, the Emperor is clearly with us, and if you see that glowing woman again, I don't care if she looks like your mother, burn her to death.
And from the pile of wreckage, you hear the servitor kind of scream out in Binaric, which slowly coalesces into a voice that just says, "Oh, darlings, this will make an incredible story, indeed. Little help?" And the servitor just starts pointing at the wreckage.
Morgan will give a nod to the Inquisitor and then start moving over towards that pile and kneel down next to the servitor. "So we meet again, friend."
"We do. Yes, things are somewhat more complicated now than they were."
"Yes, they are. It looks like most of you are damaged. Can I take the upper half?"
"Please, I am rather embarrassed. Also, lost?"
"We are all lost right now." And she's going to wave Attikus over to punch apart the servitor from this pile.
Attikus walks over and just like anyone else, quick, scratch of his chin as he kind of looks at the problem and then just reaches down and twists, pops the servitor off, and then it just out of habit goes to hand you the servitor, and
she shakes her head and just put that on your bike.
Little sheepish, and it walks over and plunks it down on the bike.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Valentyne, I'm imagining with a reluctant Gideon, I don't know how much you're contributing. Valentyne has been field stripping the two headless corpses. Yep. If nobody else is doing it, still needs to be done. And he does not know the servitor. He heard the term "old friend," so he's like, "There's an asset there that's not his." He looks forward to an explanation. But when you come down the hill, he'll be able to give you armor that you can select whatever you want out of because you're in sniper sneaky territory. And he'll look you over, Gideon, and just say, "Seems like your clothing is subtly armored in and of itself. A fine cut."
"Yes, this is standard for our house." And he fingers through. He's wearing a mesh vest and a flak sort of trench coat kind of vibe.
Yeah, Valentyne will just feel the coat. Look at that. Pull aside a little bit of the shirt, see the armored body glove you're wearing underneath, and go, "Interesting, tremendously efficient. I think this may be better than anything I can give you off of this corpse."
I think as you start doing that, you can feel Gideon tense up. As soon as you touch it, he stiffens immediately and does nothing, and then is just nodding, "Yep, mm-hmm."
"Very impressive, Mr. Vega. Your house, their loss has hurt the Imperium deeply."
"Thank you." And he goes to field strip some of these bodies in sort of am I doing good? Is this what you want?
Valentine's glad to see him active. Assumes he's nailing it. In the same way, Valentine's I don't understand human emotion, but he's working, so it's a net gain. Valentyne would then turn to Morgan and say, "And who is this?"
"The servitor, it belonged to Vernalius Venomblight, but that is the body of Little Lizardman. A powerful servitor. If we could get more technology, perhaps you could use it to hook into things. It may be useful."
"Interesting. Hello, Lizardman. I am Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne.
Not Rabute Figurello."
"Absolutely not.
How
Rabute Figurello.
Delightful.
I understand you have a great deal of information, and I require a great deal of information. I believe this could be the start of a tremendously useful friendship, because you have been sent to me by the Emperor on this." Looks over at Gideon, stripping a corpse.
Trying not to overhear, but clearly listening, looks the same speech.
Yeah, looks up at the Excommunicate Traitoris, king's body.
Yep.
"This is a very good day."
"If you say so, it is fun and interesting after all, though hollow. I cannot hear his voice anymore."
Whose voice?
"Well, whose voice indeed? The one I report to. The one who built me, perhaps? It is strange not to have someone on the receiving end of things. Tell me, the power behind Greybridge, did you find it?"
"There are many possible presuppositions of that power. At what level did you exist? Do you understand, do you have information surrounding a cabal? Collection of entities connected through the warp, heretics, traitors, those moving against the throne?"
"No, I came online. I understand that my existence is strange for servitors, and in all of my research and gossip-mongering, I never found a satisfactory answer quite for how I came into sentience. But I did have one who asked specifically for reports, who asked to make sure, and again the voice slips a bit as you'd heard Morgan, to keep things fun, keep them interesting, which seemed to haunt my mind rather, and yet now I don't hear it. It's almost as though there was someone on the receiving end of a line for me. I assumed it was not the king because he is an idiot. Gestures like with her broken servitor arm to like the corpse. A dead idiot, which incidentally I do believe makes our Lord Van Houten the heir to the throne in a rather delightful twist. But no, there was one who controlled me, who I thought perhaps brought me to life, as it were. If you were to search my databases, you might be able to find more information that I do not have access to. It has always bothered me, but I was kept busy by keeping things fun and interesting.
Fascinating. Yes, we can look at that. Do you have any visual references or audio logs of the one who created you? You may not have a transmitter, but I do have my servo skull Eugene that we could hook you through, or a data pad.
I can transmit just fine, darling.
Excellent.
It was just that it seemed... I feel as though a lifeline has been cut off for me somewhat. It is strange. But yes, I could certainly speak to your Eugene, or gestures across the saddlebag to Jeffrey, or that one as needed.
Use that one.
And the eyes just kind of shift to what you would there's a little bit of static behind the eyes, and then Jeffrey's squished face just kind of turns, and the mouth creaks open, and the lizardman says, "Well, now I'm over here."
Great, you said you could transmit, so visuals or audio?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I believe we've had a misunderstanding, my lord. I can take over various servitors. That's always been one of my gifts. But if you want visual references, you'll have to plumb the depths of my knowledge.
Excellent. Give me access to the depths of your knowledge. And he's just taking out his data slate.
I mean, her guts are open. Like, great. The servitor is wide open.
Plugging it into the CPU. He's got his data slate to pull through files.
Oh, how rude. And just like Binaric starts screaming. And you immediately start to receive very complex logs, which unfortunately are written in Eldari.
Ah. Well, that answers one question and raises another. Unplugs from the CPU. Do you know anything about spirit stones?
And immediately her body like twitches and shudders, and just like almost like when a robot turns off, and you see her body kind of like click back, and the chest cavity opens, and in that kind of same dead voice that she says fun and interesting in, a voice says, "King Frederick, if you are hearing this, please insert stone now."
Now that is tremendously interesting. We need to... Then he's just going to plug into the CPU so the system's off for a second. He goes, "We need to break every transmitter inside this servitor, and then I want to put the stone in it."
We can try.
Gideon, are you familiar with servitors?
I'm familiar with Jeffrey.
Excellent. I need your eye on this. We need to figure out every way that the servitor can put itself into another servitor. I need to hardwire it so they can't take over Jeffrey or something else. If we happen to put... Oh, I'm leaving you behind on some information, Gideon. My apologies. The king was consorting with an Eldari, a cursed alien species. That consorting in and of itself is a crime, and it's one of the reasons that your world was destroyed. We captured the Eldari, then killed them. Their soul is now inside this stone. Holds up the stone with the soul in it.
Yeah.
I want to put this stone into this servitor because I believe we may be able to access its contents. But my concern is, this is where he starts looping everyone into the conversation. We know that this servitor can take over other servitors. Jeffrey could be weaponized against us. Perhaps Toby could be weaponized against us, or Eugene. I cannot risk that Trin Rakai can transport his soul into another servitor and then, shall we say, flee the scene or attack us. I don't believe you want to lose Jeffrey. I don't believe you want to lose Toby. And I don't want to lose Eugene or Trin Rakai. Everything that can transmit inside this servitor must go. I require everyone's expertise. You're familiar with Jeffrey. You're familiar with Toby. Attikus can break things.
Yeah, I was just say Attikus just reaches in with like a four-finger death punch kind of thing, and just like clutching, and just reaches inside and just spreads the metallic fingers to just open up the carapace of the servitor, and then just gestures, probably to Morgan, realistically.
Yeah.
Let the electrosurgery begin.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Josh Halbot, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC.com. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum-Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Nithrian, Garbo Ape, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia de los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, The Gata Family, Ellis Hatch, Odigenous, Beef Not Cheese, Kai Koa, Squire Solaire, Sandy Sassy Pants, Adam, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.